Happy Monday. This is the Melodic Investor. My name is Antoine, and I just wanted to come on and make a quick video about why it's important to have insurance. Well, you want to have insurance in your rental property, but you also want to have any vendors or contractors that's going to be working on your property to have insurance as well. And a big part of that is, well, anytime you're in real estate or business for that matter, because I guess this is applicable to business as well, you want to make sure you always think about liability, right? Meaning, who's going to be responsible if the worst thing happens? You always got to be thinking about that. What liability looks like. So, having the proper insurances in place, and in the industry we call that COI. For anyone who does not know, by the way, let's just get this out the way. I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. I've worked in multifamily for 10, and I've strictly been in commercial since. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and check out other videos on the channel, and please share with a friend. All right, so back to it. So the reason why you want to have it is you always got to think about liability and how to, if the worst thing happens on your property, you don't want to be the one responsible. You want to make sure that your vendor or your contractor or anyone who's doing maintenance on your property has the proper insurances in place. So again, that's called COI, Certificate of Insurance. And so what you want to look for, this is what I look for. You could talk to your insurance company and they will give you the best advice. But just as in general, I always look at what the liability coverages are. So let's just say, they hurt themselves. They have a guy on site who hurts themselves while working on your property. If they have lapse of insurance, well, you could be held liable, meaning that your insurance would have to kick in and cover any potential injury, damages, or things like that. And that's what you don't want, because that could be a huge setback for your property, for your insurance, financial. You don't want to take on that financial burden. And in business, one of the things you always want to think about is mitigating risk. You don't want the risk. And if you are going to take risk, you want to make sure it's calculated to the best of your abilities. So I always like to make sure they have the proper coverages in place. The limits, you want a higher limit, especially with the way things are nowadays and how expensive things are. You want to make sure it's not, let's just say their insurance is going to expire within 30 days of them starting your job. You want to make sure they have a new insurance in place, maybe before starting a project, especially if the job is going to go over that time of the old insurance policy. You want to make sure they have a new one in place and you have that on file. And once you ask that, most companies or vendors will just submit that over to you, not a problem. Just to give you an example of why it's important to have it, we had a roofing contractor come out, and he was replacing like a coupling on a roof drain line. This drain line ran from so the top of the roof, obviously drained down, and then it kind of had a chase that ran all the way through the interior of the building and into a bunch of, and these were doctors' offices. And the end of the line was like the head surgeon's office. And what ended up happening is, because they broke it, not on purpose, of course, but things happen. And when they broke it, that water, I think it rained the next day or something like that. That accumulative water that was on the roof all drained to his office. And he had family photos, paintings, a lot of expensive furniture, computer equipment, even down to like power strips, all of that. And his desk, all the stuff was like he had purchased that on his own dime. So now we're in a situation to where if that vendor didn't have the proper insurances in place, and we didn't verify that, and we didn't do our due diligence before letting them start the work, we would have been responsible for that. Luckily, we had good practices in place to save us from ourselves, because sometimes you need that in this business. Because I'll be honest, sometimes it's tempting to go with the lowest bid if you're just starting out and you don't know any better. But what you don't realize is maybe their insurance isn't inadequate for, the job that they're doing or for your property. So you may not be getting the best deal. You may be getting the best price, but not the best deal. And we could talk about that in another video. But the point is, make sure they have proper coverages in place. And I don't think, in a commercial application, everything's always a little bit more expensive. So, we require them to have at least $1 million in place in case anything, which on your average rental property, I wouldn't say that is necessary. But again, I'm not an insurance agent. Talk to your insurance agent, and you can always tell them, but be careful. Don't need to overshare. But I definitely ask them, hey, if I'm having a roofer come out or whatever you got going on, excuse me, coming out, what do I need to have in place, and what should I ask of them, etc. Always a good idea, just so you're not in a bad spot if things go south. Because when they do, they happen very quickly. And then you're like, oh man, I wish I would have had it. But anyway, insurance. And then, let me finish this story. So, the roofers had insurance. I had the doctor tally up everything that he had in his office that was damaged. This is another important thing too. It has to be reasonable. Well, I don't think the word is reasonable. I can forget what the word is called. But it can't be excessive, right? You can't say, oh, this desk is worth $1 million. I mean, okay, that may be worth $1 million in sentimental value, but on the marketplace, it's only worth $10. You know what I mean? Unless you have a receipt proving otherwise. Now, if you don't, then they're only going to pay what they can find in the real market value. So, that's something you want to make sure you look to keep an eye out for, and make sure that, oh, so what I did was I made sure sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. I made sure that the tenant took a stock of everything that was damaged. We took pictures, photos. Of course, I showed up along with my engineer team, took good photos, good pictures. We called our mitigation company to come out, extract all the water, all that good stuff. All of that expense, including any weekend time, any extra work that didn't happen, all of that stuff got charged back to the vendor. And it came out to be $20,000, which again, if that insurance is not in place, guess that's on us. Then we're responsible, we gotta pay for it. So you never want to find yourself in a bad situation. Same if you're doing construction. Make sure, get an estimate of how long the project is going to take. Make sure these vendors and contractors have the proper insurances in place. And each situation is going to be different on an individual basis. But this is just kind of give you an overall outlook on the questions you should be asking. Remember, if anyone has an expired insurance, that's an immediate red flag. And you don't want to move forward with that project until that is taken care of. Once that is remedied, then you can move forward with the project. Because most companies are not going to want an incident to happen and they be responsible knowing that they don't have insurance in place, because that can result in a suit, a civil suit, sue the business, etc. So always want to be protecting yourself. A lot in this game, in this business, is risk mitigation. Insurance is one of those things. Don't that's not something you want to be cheap on. Hope this is helpful. Again, remember to like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Bye.